Today's guest is someone really special to me, one of my very first inspiration, and honestly, still an inspiration to this day. Someone who has won more Sight of the Day awards than anyone else in India. Not just an exceptional designer, but also an incredible coder who knows how to bring ideas to life very beautifully. So please welcome one and only Abhishek Jha Bhaiya.
Thanks for having me, Swaraj.
If the viewers don't know, हम ये दूसरी बार कर रहे हैं. And so, without any further delay, we can start with the very first question.
Yes,
And are you ready?
yes,
Okay. So, you both design and code,
yeah.
which is still rare. And what's one thing people misunderstand about what a creative developer or designer actually does, and what they think it is versus what it really is?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I personally haven't faced any such misconception. The only doubts that people come to me with is usually around my services, right? So I'm talking from a client and vendor perspective, right? So whenever a client comes to me, the only thing that's in their mind is how can I help them, right? And I try my best to just answer it as best as possible, right? And personally, I think people do get these terms, they do misunderstand these terms to some extent. For most people, a developer simply means someone who just codes, right, who codes everything. But I think the creative word has a lot of weight here, right? So the creative designer and the creative developer is what makes these roles slightly different. So a creative developer would be somebody who's more focused on the front end aspect and the creative animations, WebGL, 3D stuff a little bit more. And same goes with creative designer. They are more into, they are a little bit fluid in terms of their skills and niche. So they, even if they are UI designers, they will try to incorporate stuff from, let's say, typical graphic design and blend it into the UI, right? They won't typically just create dashboards, right? So a product designer would be more focused on creating dashboards, maybe creating products that people love to use. They will be more focused on the functionality and maybe slightly on the visual part. But a creative designer would be more into creating just mesmerizing and storytelling based websites. And same goes for creative developer. That vision of a creative designer is generally only translated by a creative developer most of the time, right? If a regular developer tries to do it, because that's not their core niche, it usually, the design, the end product lacks that final finesse and the meticulousness, right? Which makes it an award worthy website that
Right.
usually lacks when a normal person does that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a good answer, but many times student and many other people ask me why it's important. से performance से गिरता है आखिरी में जाके. So
Yeah.
why it is necessary?
Yeah, I have a great answer. And not just that, whenever you get these you have these videos where people are showcasing these creative websites, you, in the comments also, you'll find people that, oh no, it lags on my computer,
Yeah.
too many animations, I would rather just consume content. And of course, I mean, see, the best format to consume content would be a Word document, but that's not what websites look like, right? They're not just documents, easy to read and nothing else, right? But I think the demand is, it's all about market saturation, right? So when a internet was in its Goldilocks zone around like 2008 to 2016, where it was growing and evolving, right? Things were not as standardized as they are today. So in that time, people were experimental, right? So of course there was a lot of storytelling and a lot of weird things. People were expressing their creativity in different ways. That kind of started to shift after 2016, 2018, till 2025. Now everything is standardized, products are very mature, and businesses, their websites have started to look the same, right? So that's when the market has reached that saturation point, when they can no longer acquire new customers. They have to now venture like sideways and take customers from their competitors, right? So that's when you need creative storytelling, you need creative design, because that's what helps your brand stands out and be slightly more different than your competitors. And you know what happens, even though yes, this is a misconception that these websites make your these heavy animations make your website lag. It's not necessarily true. It's
Yeah,
when you don't get a creative developer,
developer. Yeah,
yeah,
good
that's when it happens.
creative developer you needed.
Exactly, right? So
Their
they
work is to optimize that animation.
absolutely, absolutely. That's their core niche, right? So because they
Yeah,
deal with animations a lot, if you hire a regular front-end developer, they may not have all the information on how to optimize it, right? But a creative developer
yeah,
would. So yeah, that's a difference. So personally, I've never felt animations making anything too laggy. And you also have to be a little bit cautious. You have to use them sparingly. Not everything can just translate
everything.
animate, right? And if you're doing so, you must use css animations for as many things as possible, because that's usually lower on the cpu usage.
Mm,
But yeah, I think it's all about market saturation. When you want to like expand sideways, get steal consumers and customers from your competitors, you need to stand out. And what happens is, a typical person will always associate a good website with more brand trust, right? So when you look at
yeah, trust. This what I tell
exactly,
some everyone कि they want trust. And अगर कोई सस्ता वेबसाइट दिखेगा तो they won't trust कि
exactly,
प्रीमियम नहीं है. This is
exactly,
not a
exactly. So
premium brand.
yeah, yeah, trust is the keyword here, right? So
Yeah.
when I see a website that is well built, even if and it has animations, I know that this brand is serious about their business. They
Mm,
won't be into it if they are not serious about it, right? Anybody can just create a half baked website and just be online, right? But I know that this person has not given their 100% to their business. So should I trust them or not? Because they themselves don't trust their business, right? So that's the difference a creative website makes. And that's what brands are striving for nowadays, right? Especially after AI, that standardization has reached
mm,
its maximum. And I think this market is likely to grow. But yeah, like the competition will also be fierce between
mm.
different vendors, right? So yeah.
Yeah. Now you talked about AI. So
Yes.
recently, एक दो दिन पहले ही, one student messaged me कि what's the future of creative development?
Yeah.
कि it is a safe or secure career option or not? If I start this journey now, then after some time वो बचेगा भी कि नहीं? There are many confusions. तो मैंने उसको ये बोला था कि अभी मैं एक अच्छे आदमी से पूछ के बताता हूँ. So
See,
what's your thought?
I people may not like my answer, but you know, for me, it was never about whether this is a solid career for me or not. For me, it was always about whether I enjoy it or not, right? Because
Yeah,
no matter which career option you pick, everything can at some point become obsolete, right? There is no guarantee in anything, right? Anything. Like, there is no guarantee that tomorrow there might be a meteoroid that would hit the earth and all of us would be dead, right? So if you don't love the game, it will be hard for you, right? You have to
mm,
love, you have to do it for the fun of it. And then nobody can defeat you in that niche. Even if that niche is dead, it's never truly like 100% dead, right? There will always
yeah,
be some demand for some things, right? I mean, now we make paper from machines, but there are still
machines.
some demand of handcraft papers, right? We make like there are a lot of things that are now made by machines and robots in factories, but there are still handmade versions of it, right? So nothing is truly ever dead, and everything can at some point become obsolete. You just have to find out whether you truly like it or not. And I understand this is easier said than done, right? I'm now talking from a sense of, oh, you need to find your passion and all that. And I personally think that it's not as easy, right? It might sound a little bit bullshit, but it is somewhat true, right? I mean, if you don't really enjoy what you're doing, then every field can be dangerous and become obsolete, and you might be rendered jobless at some point. And if you love it, you will always find a way, no matter how bad the market is, right? So I think that's going to be my answer, and most people may not relate with it, but you have to love it. So if you don't truly love creative development and you don't do it because you like it and you only do it because you do it for the money, I guess you should keep on finding new ways to make more money and always adapt. But if you like it, I don't think anybody can take you out of the market, because nobody can defeat you at something that is game for you but work for others, right? So if
Yeah,
play for you, you are always going to be at the top. And if it's work for you, you will always be struggling, a little bit, because you don't truly love it.
totally agree. Okay, so we can move forward with our second question.
Yes.
So the second question is, you come from an engineering background.
Yeah.
Of course, every boy in this country,
Hmm.
most people in India go forward, go towards placements or corporate jobs.
Right.
That what I said.
Yeah.
And when did you decide to choose design?
Right.
And did people around you take it seriously or not? Because if
Yeah.
I tell my parents कि design करूँगा मैं
Mm.
engineering के बाद.
I completely relate with that. And yes, most kids in India do start from engineering, right? They do come from engineering background. And I think this is less about design and coding, but this is more about just how Indians are raised and what our culture is, right? So that could be another discussion. That will be a completely separate discussion on this. But I think I started my journey personally, like I started my journey with coding, right? So I started with HTML, CSS. I was just creating basic websites, and I liked it. The fact that I can talk to a computer and I can tell it to do things, and it shows me that on the screen, was always fascinating, right? I loved it, that okay, this is a non-living thing, it has zero IQ, and yet I'm able to type some stuff and it responds back. That was always fascinating. So I started with coding, but then I realized that okay, yeah, I don't just like to stare at blank console screen all the time, right? So I was always I always like to see things move, have some colors, look nice. So that got me into design a little bit. I started just looking at websites. The very first website I think I did was my own school website, and it was just like
Oh,
one HTML page. I didn't like actually make it for them, just one page. I was just trying to copy the stuff that was there in my school website, right? And then I went to a couple of inter-school competitions. I won a few, and yeah, so I figured that out in high school, in secondary high school itself. So I didn't really have to wait for the college. So college had no role in me becoming a designer or a developer, right? But I think most people also like us, like going back to our previous conversation. I think most people are coming it because they want to earn from it, right? They want to enter this field because they think that this could be a good job
good job.
prospectus, right? Which might be true. Sure, there is no harm in chasing money, but it's not a bad thing. But like I said, if you truly love it, right, there will always be work for you. You will always be able to earn from it. So yeah, I think it has more to do with culture, less to do with design, and how most of us Indians are in general risk averted because of our family issues, or could be our financial
Mm,
background, right? So not all of us have the leverage to do what we love. And like you said, your parents might not allow you to design. Mine actually were not very keen on what I was doing, so they never really cared much of okay, if this guy, they never really had a say in what I wanted to become, but they just allowed me to do whatever, right? So I never really told them specifically that I'm doing this or that. They never like they never had a say, oh, you should do this, you should do that. So maybe that was a kind of a luck, right? A weird sort of luck that my parents just allowed me to do whatever, and I just did that. Yeah, I don't think my parents would have said anything if I told them that I wanted to be a designer, because I mean, as long as you can earn money, right? And when I got my first freelance project and I made money from it, my parents knew that okay, yeah, this is a valid thing. And
this can be occurring.
exactly. So no matter what you do, just make sure that you earn your first dime as soon as possible, just for your family, and they'll have complete trust on you.
So the third question, we can we are moving to the third question. This is something many students ask me. So how do I get better at design? Of course. and we can recognize good work but don't understand why it's good or how to recreate it. And since you are a self-taught, what is the one thing beginners are missing?
Yes, I have a perfect answer to that. The number one thing that beginners do wrong is they consume a lot and they don't create enough, right?
Hmm.
So they are constantly stuck in this loop of consuming, but nothing translates into something tangible, right? So if you keep on reading and consuming and watching one more tutorial or watching one more reel or finding one more inspiration, but all that inspiration goes has no place to leave now, right? So I think one thing that every beginner must do is they should only consume while creating, right? So let's say you want to create a website. Don't open
Hmm.
Pinterest until you have the Figma open in a tab with a blank canvas, and then you start consuming. Then you start to see other references, other websites, and all that, and then try to take one thing from here, another thing from here, keep on mixing, and then you'll end up with something that's completely, you know, nothing is ever truly original, but something that you just created, right? Which will be different from every other inspiration that you.
Everyone, yeah.
Right? So I like to put this in a nice analogy. Your brain is like a fruit blender, right? It's like a fruit juicer or mixer, whatever. And then all the inspiration that you create, all the inspiration that you consume is basically fruits in your mind. And then whenever you want to create something, you take the random fruits in your head or whatever fruits make the most sense for the juice that you want to make. You blend it all, and then you're left with that creative, literal creative juice that is made from all the previous inspiration that you have consumed, right? And I think the more you create, the more you'll start to understand, and okay, yeah, this is how it works, this is why it doesn't work, this is why it looks good, this is why it looks bad. Only by doing, there is no other option. No course can teach you that, no person can teach you that, only doing can teach you that, right? If I get you the best Olympic swimmer in the world, but you don't jump into the pool, you will never be able to learn swimming, right? So yeah, I think that's the mistake most beginners do. And like I said, they consume. So they might think that they have great taste, but because they are not creating it, they won't be able to realize why it looks good, right? So you have to get out of this loop of consumption and start creating more.
सिर्फ मूड मूड में डिजाइन ऐड करने से नहीं होता है.
Exactly. And if you do that, at least create a mood board for something that you're working on. Don't
या
create mood board for the sake of creating mood board, right?
इन जनरल नहीं, हर एक प्रोजेक्ट का अलग अलग मूड बोर्ड बनाओ,
Exactly.
जिससे
Yeah.
देन यू कैन मूव फॉरवर्ड.
Yes. Yes.
या दैट्स व्हाट आई डू. सो फोर्थ क्वेश्चन इज वेरी स्पेशल. You have won the most awards out of the day in India. इससे ऊपर मैं उठ ही नहीं पाता हूँ जब मैं ये सुनता हूँ.
Mhm.
ठीक है. So you have won the most awards out of the day in India and you have judged global work. Where does India stand right now and what's holding us back?
Mm. Right. That's a great question. Um, I think it's coming up. I think India is popping up, right? 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it literally was non-existent. You couldn't find
Hmm.
anything good coming from India, at least on the global scale, right? And to be honest, it won't be fair to just say that. I when I say on the global scale, I mean specifically in that creative niche, right? Because of course,
Niche.
India is a big country. There are a lot of talent that already exists, but they might be in a different niche in a different field, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when I say this, I specifically mean creative websites and creative
Creative.
dev and design. So 5 years ago, it was nowhere. Now there are many people, especially people like you, who are actually putting the effort, right, into creating something good and learning, right? So I think I personally know like some 10 people who are doing great work, right? And they're fairly new. They weren't in the scene, I think, just 5 years ago, and now they're creating really good work, almost awards
Hmm.
level. I think some of them have already won, right? So it's definitely there. India is getting there, and the appetite for good design is also there, because we have at least one thing with India is that all these startups in India, they have truly because they have such good looking apps, they have such good looking UI and a decent brand presence. Indians now at least have a baseline that okay, yeah, this is how good a brand can be. For example, Swiggy, Zomato, these are all good looking apps, right? They don't look bad. Paytm was, I think, the pioneer. Their app was really nice. So Indians now know that this is what a good looking app can be, and then it translates into good looking websites, good looking stuff, and the exposure is definitely increasing. So good news is India is definitely there. I do see a bright future in this niche, and there's going to be a lot of competition soon. A lot of people are going to come up. Their skills are increasing because of AI and how fast people are learning, and those who are creating will leave everybody behind, right? So it's all good news from my end.
दैट्स द थिंग कि जितना कंपटीशन रहेगा उतना ही अच्छा वर्क निकलेगा.
Exactly.
दैट्स
Yeah.
क्रिकेट इज लाइक द सेम.
Yeah.
क्रिकेट का कंपटीशन इतना अच्छा है इसलिए वी आर वेरी गुड एट क्रिकेट.
Yep.
दैट्स द थिंग. So we will move to the final question.
Yeah.
Finally, so if there's one thing every young designer or developer in India should take away from this, what
Yes.
would it be?
Yeah, I
Abhishek?
think I'll go back to my third point, which was start creating more. And you don't have to consume, like stop consuming, but you have, your creation ratio should be higher than your consumption ratio.
Consumption.
Create 70%, consume 30%, right? And that's the only way anybody has done anything. That's the only way to learn anything, right? By doing it, right? So I think that would be my biggest takeaway. Like that is what I think should be everybody's biggest takeaway. And try to not worry about the time, because I've also seen a lot of people who
Hmm.
get really anxious about, hey, I don't want to invest so much time. If you're worried about time, just think, what else would you rather be doing? If you have something else you would rather be doing, then do that. If you don't, then don't worry about the time consumption, right? So most people are like, when I was building Neuraform, I spent days and days and days, right? I literally stopped, like I forgot to eat, I forgot to drink water, I was barely sleeping, but I was having so much fun, right? And if I had thought that okay, no, this is taking 20 hours of my time every day, I would simply be too intimidated by it and I won't even start the project, right? Don't let time get into this thing, right? Don't factor in time. If you think that okay, my time is better spent somewhere else, do that. If you don't have a backup plan, if you don't have anything else to do, don't worry about the time.
That's the thing कि बहुत सारे लोग टाइम की वजह से कि नहीं
Yeah.
समझ में आ रहा है, ये
Yeah.
हो रहा है, कुछ नहीं हो
But
रहा है.
then,
And they are
yeah.
like कि they also don't take rest also.
Yeah.
कि if it taking a lot of time,
Yeah.
they think कि ये नहीं होगा मेरे से and they leave it.
Dude, I encountered like hundreds and hundreds of problems when I was building that. And then the only way I could solve this is by actually going and sleeping. And after waking up, you get the idea, right? And this is common with a lot of people actually, because if you sleep with a problem, you generally wake up with the
Hmm.
solution, right? That's how your mind works. So yeah, I think time is also something many people worry about. They should not. They should not. So they're like, okay, I need to spend my time on this. They get bored or whatever, and then they go start scrolling reels, right?
Hmm.
Do you think that's a better use of your time? If you think so, good for you. Otherwise, I mean, why not just keep on doing what you're doing and eventually you'll figure it out, right? So it's that, yeah, all of us are addicted to consumption, and I'm not like counting myself out of it, but I'm trying my best to fight it. That's why I don't use social media much. I kind of despise it a lot. But yeah, I think coming off from social media, I'm starting to heal, right? My focus is increasing, and I'm able to generate better ideas. So that could be something, another takeaway if anybody's willing to try it.
Also we are talking in this topic, so मेरे को लगता है कि don't rush your project. बहुत सारे लोग जल्दीबाजी में लाइक कि ये हुआ फिर मेरे को ये अच्छा लग
Yeah.
रहा है ये ले लेते हैं एंड दे एंड देयर प्रोजेक्ट इन 2 to 3 days
Okay.
कुछ
Yeah.
भी करके. सो दे कि मतलब ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लगेगा एंड दिस थिंग, तो
Yeah.
उससे
Time
उनका
is,
क्वालिटी ऑफ वर्क.
yeah, they should stop. Like, you need to stop worrying about time unless it's a client project and they have some deadline. Then it makes sense. But for your own projects, take your sweet time. Don't try to rush it, and don't factor in time, because see, I think most of the users who will be watching this would probably be in their early 20s, right? They're still trying to
Hmm.
figure out, dude, this is the time where you actually learn. When will you learn if not today, right? I mean, enjoy your life. Nobody's asking you to sacrifice your weekends, work 24 hours, but there is a healthy balance to everything, right? You can still work and enjoy your life. So don't worry about the time consumption so much. But I think it usually happens in people who don't really love it, like I said, right? They don't
Yeah,
treat it as fun, they treat it as work. And when you
work.
treat it as a chore, when you treat it as a work, time will start to feel long, right? So yeah, but there's no way to overcome it. I sadly don't have a solution. If you don't enjoy something, how to keep on doing it?
Hmm.
That's something people have to figure it out themselves.